Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Let's call the City Selection Committee meeting of November 12th to order. Auden, can we have the roll call?
Sure. So this time I have an Excel for us. So if everyone could just say their name when I call their city. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. Campbell,
Gibbons.
Cupertino,
Scharf.
Gilroy, Los Altos,
Pepper.
Los Altos Hills,
Wu,
Los Gatos,
Syok.
Milpitas,
Here. That's Carmen.
Yeah, I'm here.
Monte Sereno,
Here. Here.
Turner.
Here.
Please,
You're here.
state your name, everyone. That would be helpful.
Rowena Turner.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sharina.
Morgan Hill.
Absent at the moment.
Okay. Mountain View,
here, Abekoga.
Palo Alto,
Hold on, let me see if she's here via phone. I do not see Liz yet.
okay. San Jose,
Jones here.
Santa Clara,
Davis here.
Saratoga,
Arnold.
and Sunnyvale.
Fine. Here.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Next up is our consent agenda. Did anyone have any changes to the minutes of August 13th, 2020? Or is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Deb.
Yeah. Davis.
Second by Pepper.
Thank you. And can we go ahead and have a roll call vote by voice?
Yes. Okay. So,
We're trying a new system tonight, guys, so please bear with us as we work our way.
Okay, no worries.
okay. So, Mayor Abakoga,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bernald.
Aye.
Mayor Wu,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gibbons,
Aye.
Mayor Scharf,
Aye.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Mayor Klein,
Yes.
Mayor Pepper,
Yes.
Councilmember Montana,
Aye.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
and Councilmember Syok.
Yes.
Okay, are you already on the call?
Andy, who are you trying to, should I pause for a second?
I'm trying to get Liz on here and we're having a little bit of difficulty, but I've got her on the phone right now. So I'm just trying to figure out how to let her listen. I'll mute
Okay.
myself and let her listen, but Liz has joined the meeting now.
Okay.
May I ask a point of order? Did we
Yes.
read a motion about this is, can be held virtually? We do all of that procedure?
So it's part of the agenda minutes, but we can go through that. Yes. This meeting is being held in accordance to California Executive Order N-29-20, regarding virtual meetings. This meeting is being held so that participants can connect to the meeting and raise their virtual hands if they want to speak. There will be portions for the general meeting. For if someone wishes to speak that's part of the board, they will raise their virtual hand. If someone wishes to speak either on the phone or connecting by a teleconferencing means, they can raise their virtual hand or dial *9 on their telephone. And with that, let us move on to appointments. So there are several appointments that we have to take care of tonight. And I understand that most likely because of discussions and everything, we will not be covering all the appointments. Most likely only the first 3, if we even have time for that, depending upon our time for our meeting times. So we will just basically go through each one, depending upon, and they'll be handled slightly differently, very similar, but because at least 3B has quite a few candidates. But from a process standpoint, we'll first have additional nominations from the floor. Candidates will have a chance to speak for up to 2 minutes. The public will then speak for up to 2 minutes, and then we'll have a discussion amongst the board members as far as what they would like to do, and then conceivably an actual vote between depending on how many candidates we have on the different positions. So first up, and Andy, do you have anything else to add or no? If no,
I'm having a question here by a member of the public. Jeannie Bruins would like to speak about the MTC matter.
yes. But we'll handle, public comment for each section, 3A, 3B, 3C separately. Okay. First up is ABAG. And so this is an appointment of 1 representative and 2 alternates. And right now we have 2 for a 2-year position. Right now we have 2 applicants. And from that standpoint, is there anyone wishing to nominate from the floor? So please raise your virtual hand as an attendee. Debbie?
I'm sorry, Mayor. I guess my question in the beginning was how were the people notified? How were the 15 cities and councils notified that they could apply for these positions? I didn't know how some people knew about these positions that we were voting on tonight and some people didn't. So I just wanted to make sure that there was some clarification done on this. I was asked that question. So could someone answer that for me, please?
I'd be happy to answer that for you, council member. I sent messages to each council member for the 15 cities. They received it directly in their email numerous times. They received the notice prior to all of the appointments that were going to be made. The city managers were notified, the city clerks were notified, as well as admins in the city manager's office. And then notices, the agenda was posted on the website with the notices of the specific vacancies. Those were put on the website 2 weeks before. And then notices were sent multiple times again to the board, to all the city managers and to the clerks and admin staff. There was multiple outreach.
Okay, because I was concerned about council elects. And some people knew about it and some people didn't. So that was why I was questioned about that. So thank you for your explanation.
So I can clarify that as well. It was there was an inquiry made to me about that. Many of the cities actually called and asked me about that. And council member elects were invited and they're allowed to apply.
Okay. Thank you for your explanation. I'm sorry, Mayor, that I interrupted you.
Not a problem. Okay, do we have any nominations from the floor? And I see none. So we have two candidates wishing, and I don't think, Andy, do you have the order in which the letters were received? Is that is that the letter order or not?
No, the letter order is just alphabetized. I don't
Okay.
think it really matters what day we receive the letters,
Okay.
but we just alphabetized them for,
Okay.
I do have a hand raised in the public as well.
Thank you very much. And let's see, is that actually, let's see, make sure that that's not a nomination from the floor. Can you allow that person to speak? Councilmember
Hi there.
Sergio.
Yeah, I suspect this is for, I didn't know when it was appropriate to raise my hand. I'm not used to being on this side of the of the camera, but what I would say is I wanted to speak about the Bay Area Air Quality Management appointment, not this one.
Okay, good
So
enough.
I'll wait.
Thank you very much. Okay, so no nominations from the floor. So we will now ask the candidates to speak in either order. So,
Larry, I actually have a question.
sure.
Mary Lynn, sorry
Oh,
to throw you off track. I apologize.
Sure.
At the last selection committee meeting, we had some discussion as to whether we would push off at the selection committee the appointments for ABAG and MTC. I'd like some clarification on how that was resolved.
So we discussed it. Definitely, it could be part of the motion, but right now, from the way we left it at the last meeting, it is an appointment that we make. So we can talk about policy, and we can have that as part of the discussions later. The policy that we've had for a while now. That being said, it's up to the selection committee based upon our policy, based upon what the motion is at the end of the day for the people coming in. We're fairly clear as far as I know. We talked about ABAG and or MTC and BACMED to some degree, and from that standpoint, right now we're going through the appointment process, and we can discuss that again. But that's a whole policy change, not at this point. So, not to be handled at this point.
If I might,
Sure.
I went back and just read the minutes. I watched the video again, and the last week there was a discussion about ABAG and MTC. There was some discussion about being more strategic, but the only motion was to just to renew the policy of the rules and regulations of that the person must be an elected official. So there wasn't any motion made about not moving forward with the ABAG and MTC.
Correct. And I think, I've had several discussions with multiple people about the concept of our policy, going forward. And as we, let's say, reform our organization, I do think that there's a lot of value in looking at, how we appoint to these different organizations and making it very clear, how we should be working with our potential candidates and potential appointees from that standpoint. But, I think that's a much bigger discussion as we deal with the organizational status going forward. Liz?
So with respect, I do disagree with the summary that Andy just provided and the motion that's in the minutes. It was made, and I thought it was very clear based on the discussion, that there would be an ad hoc committee of Chris and myself and some others to figure out a strategic plan and who to appoint in January. I do think that's what the motion said.
So, Andy, I think I don't remember it that way. Hang on. Andy, you went back through it. I don't remember making a motion to basically put this, to put everything on hold until an ad hoc committee met.
I don't agree. I just listened to it and that was not my understanding.
Yeah, and but for the record, I listened to it too, and I respectfully disagree. Go forward as you wish, but I do disagree.
Well, I do think I do think that going forward, we need to look at policy and re-looking at that from a policy standpoint and strategy from an organizational standpoint. But we did, we have already from an organization, agendized this for tonight, and we'll go through, if a majority of the people want to postpone that, that could be a portion of that could be a motion of the vote of a specific item. If we want to undertake that, is basically say we will postpone this until January or until something else. But right now, I don't remember specifically calling for an ad hoc committee. So I'm sorry, I saw your email just before this and didn't fully capture what that was, but okay, now I understand more.
It was in the motion.
Okay. So.
And I believe I seconded it.
Okay. Do we want a motion to figure out whether or not we want to postpone this at this point?
So based on how you were organizing the meeting, my understanding is you want to have all the applicants speak and then have a conversation at the end. You're not going to be putting on application by application or position by position.
Correct.
Oh, you've got the meeting structured?
That is correct.
Okay, so then I would defer any comments and a motion until we have the discussion after the people speak.
Okay. Good enough. So we have two applicants for ABAG. First up, actually, I'll enter either one of you who wish to speak on this item.
I can go first.
First. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, and I'll be brief based on the time.
You have 2 minutes to speak.
Okay, and I'll be brief. So thank you so much, Mayor Klein, and thank you for considering my application. Very much to the point Councilmember Gibbons is making, I am applying for this position because I really believe I'm the right person for this position at this time. For the last year and a half, I have served on 2 different ABAG committees. And a lot of the work that the ABAG board will be working on is based on a lot of the work that we have done this last year and a half. And so based on my foundational knowledge and my experience and also the regional connections I've made this last year and a half, I really believe I am the right person to represent the Cities Association and all our small cities and large cities, because I do understand your concerns. And I believe based on the connections and knowledge that I've acquired this past year and a half, and working directly with ABAG this year and a half only built on the experience I had going into these responsibilities. Someone on one of the committees joked with me 6 months into serving on the Housing Methodology Committee, where he said, clearly they know who you are now because they're all pronouncing your name correctly. Because for the first 6 months, of course, they were butchering my name like everybody else, but definitely by that 6 months, because I was your advocate, I was your voice. I pushed back when I thought that Santa Clara County wasn't being represented. People knew who I was. And so to Vice Mayor Gibbons' point about ensuring we have strategic leaders and people who can be effective on ABAG, I am that person. The last thing I will share is, I bring a fresh perspective. I've worked with many of you, and I'm proactive, I'm solutions oriented, and I will get things done on our behalf. I think that's the kind of leader you want representing us at the ABAG level. So thank you for considering my application, and I look forward to continue serving you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our other applicant is Glenn Hendricks, and I think you've been promoted, Glenn.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I'd love to be promoted. So hello, my name is Glenn Hendricks. I'm a council member in Sunnyvale. I think all of you are aware of me and what I've been doing here in the city and the region. I believe that I can bring a strategic and a regional view to the discussions that happen at ABAG. I'm not going to go through a lot of discussions. You either know about me or you don't, and you can make your decision based on that. But I do appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any members of the public wishing to speak regarding either of these candidates? Seeing none. We will now bring it back to the selection committee. Please raise your hand if you have comments. Liz Gibbons.
Do you want comments on the applicants right now?
Applicant, yes.
Okay.
So this is the time for discussion and ultimately any motions or going into the final voting.
You're going to do voting now, not after that's what I asked you earlier. Sorry, I'm trying to understand your process. You're going to vote individual applications?
After each individual application, yes.
Okay. I will just voice my concern about that. So I would speak on behalf of Nisa because she spoke well about the fact ABAG is a complicated organization, and this year and going forward, the relationship of the Plan 2050 and the RENA numbers and knowing the people and the structure of ABAG and MTC is really important to leverage your voice. And I would support her application for this position.
Thank you very much. Jan Pepper. Sorry. Yes, Jan.
I'm speaking also in support of NISA's application. I've worked closely with NISA for the last 2 years while she's been on the Los Altos City Council. And she's just the type of person we want to have. She's extremely smart. She's very diligent. She's an attorney. She doesn't back down. And I believe that she will well represent our county on this board. It's important to have a regional perspective, but you're also there to represent us, to represent Santa Clara County. And I'm confident that NISA would do a very good job on that. So I support NISA.
Hang on, Liz. Trying to mute Liz.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak for either two applicants? Deb Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I think that Nisa is probably the best person that we could put up there. I don't want to call her a street fighter to her face, but she is. And ABAG and MTC is really big for us right now in the South Bay. I think that we're being picked on for having the tech companies, and they want to give us everything that they possibly could throw at us. So we need solid representation. I think she has, ever since she's come to Cities Association, when she says results orientated, she's right on the mark. So I wholly support her. I wish you good luck. I'm not going to be around, Nisa. I'm retiring out. So good luck, girl, and I hope you win.
Okay. Next is Chappie Jones.
Thank you. Actually, this whole process reminds me of how much I hate it because you have to make a decision between individuals who are very qualified, can do a great job. But I just been so impressed by the work that Nisa has done up to this point. And I just see her serving on the ABAG board as just being a continuation of the work that she's already accomplished. And she's already represented us well in those discussions. And I just feel that based on her diligence, her intellect, and her desire to serve in this position and her track record, I think that she would be an excellent person to appoint to the position. Even though, again, having to make that tough choice between two very qualified candidates.
Okay. And I think, Liz, your hand needs to be lowered, correct? Liz Gibbons, I think Liz Niss's hand was up. There we go. Liz Niss, your hand was up, but I'm just double checking.
Hi. Yes, briefly, I'll be supporting Nisa tonight. I think she has those qualities that will resonate with ABAG. And again, just as you said, Rich, it's so tough when you have two people that you think both could do the job and you have to make a choice. So I'm suggesting Nisa, but casting no aspersions on Glenn.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. And so for my standpoint, I definitely think they're both great candidates. And I appreciate what Nisa has done, especially for the last year and a half for finding a position that we didn't even know existed. From my standpoint, I've been working with Glenn for over 4 years on city council now. And, I will be supporting him in this motion as far as a possible candidate. But I do think that they're both would be both great representatives for this organization. So with that, there was a question about an additional motion, or we will just go into voting. So at this point, and I know, Andy, you had something set up. 1 second.
Auden will be, are you taking a motion, or how would you like to handle this vote?
Actually, since it's only the two, and let's go ahead and take a motion. And does anyone have a motion?
I'll do a motion.
Sure, go ahead.
I move that we appoint Nisa Flygor to the ABAG. The
And
executive.
I second it.
Okay, and Liz second. Auden, can you conduct a voice vote?
Who was the person who moved?
Mayor Pepper.
Mayor Pepper.
No.
Oh.
Second is from Liz,
Right.
the other Liz.
Liz Niss.
Liz
The
Pepper.
other Liz. This Liz.
Gotcha.
Good catch.
Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Sayak,
Flygor? Yes.
Councilmember Montana,
Aye.
Okay, the last name of the person that you're selecting? That's right, sorry. Never mind. We changed that. Go ahead.
okay. Mayor Klein,
No.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Mayor Pepper,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibbons,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bernald,
Yes.
Mayor Wu,
Yes.
Mayor Sharf,
Yes.
Councilmember is not here, and then Mayor Abakoga.
Yes. Wait, I am here.
Oh, you are here. Okay.
I
I'm
am
sorry.
here. Yes.
Right. Okay.
I seconded the motion.
Yeah. And motion passes.
Okay, congratulations, Nisa.
Thank
So
you
we
so
also
much.
have,
Thank you.
We also have 2 alternate positions. Correct? And I don't think that did we have any, let's see, alternate term. So actually, is it only one alternate?
I'd like to nominate Glenn Hendricks as the alternate.
Second.
Glenn,
Second.
1 second. Glenn, do you accept that nomination? Is Glenn still here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I would accept, yes. And congratulations to Lisa.
Thank you very
Glenn.
much. So we have a motion and a second. Auden, can you actually, are there any comments? Are there any comments from the public? Don't see
Sorry,
any.
Larry, I was late getting my hand up, and
Sure.
it's hard to see us in this form with the voting thing up. This is Mary Lynn Bernald.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
just wanted to say a hearty support for Glenn as alternate.
Very good. And I'll also be supporting him. With that, Auden, can we, so we have a motion. Can you do a voice vote?
Could you remind me who moved and seconded? I'm sorry, I can't see who is speaking when I have it this up.
And
I made the motion.
that's
Yeah,
right.
Gabby Jones.
I seconded it, Margaret Abikoga.
Thank
Well.
you. Okay. Councilmember Davis. Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Mayor Pepper.
Yes.
Councilmember Montano.
Yes.
Councilmember Sayak.
Yes.
Mayor Klein.
Yes.
Mayor Wu.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Nis.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bernald.
Yes.
Councilmember Turner.
Yes.
Mayor Scharf.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Aye.
And Mayor Abikoga.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, very good. We'll move on to 3B, Bay Area Air Quality Management District. We have 2 positions open of 2 years. First up, and we have 5 different applicants. First up, are there any nominations from the floor?
Larry, I think you have 4 applicants.
Did I miscount?
No,
You have the request from Rod, which,
Oh.
so I think that's probably a separate issue.
That's right. Okay, yes. So first, are there any nominations from the floor? Mary Lynn?
Sorry, my hand didn't come back down.
Okay, no problem. That is the fun of Zoom. And Andy, can you please promote the people that will be speaking?
I believe I just did.
Okay, good. Very good. Okay, let's make sure. And so the candidates now have a chance to speak for 2 minutes. Let's see which candidates are actually here. I want to double check that.
Mayor Constantine is stuck in the PAC meeting. And I think that somebody has
Sergio
agreed
is here.
on his behalf.
This was here. Okay, Sergio, do you want to start?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, first and foremost, my name is Sergio Jimenez. I'm a council member here in the city of San Jose, representing South San Jose. Been in office close to 4 years. We sent in a letter from my office, and I think there might have been some additional letters of support that sort of went through some of the things I've been doing over the course of these 4 years. But I want to thank you all for the consideration and the appointment of the Bay Area Air Quality Management Board. Really appreciate it. I have to say that I know the board is a regional body, and I can tell you that if appointed, I will carry forward the interest of the county in the decisions that I'll make. So I'm very appreciative of the opportunity. Now, San Jose, despite being the largest city in the Bay Area and having more than 1 million residents, we unfortunately haven't had representation on the body since 2016. And one of the reasons that's important this time around is that San Jose includes one of the Air District's communities of concern, as identified in state's AB 617 program. And related to this in that work is that the Air District's 2018 timeline, as it was established back then, working with AB 617 communities of concern, that work begins in San Jose between 2020 and 2023. And so this will include working in San Jose to build capacity for future planning and community air monitoring, building partnerships, and developing a shared understanding of local air quality issues. And since this work is scheduled to begin soon, I think it's important now more than ever to have representation from San Jose on the board. We certainly, if you look at the board representation, we are fortunate to have Supervisor Cindy Chavez on the board representing the county and Mountain View's Margaret Abekoga representing northern cities. But what I think is still missing is representation from the central and southern parts of the county, which are San Jose and cities like Morgan Hill and Gilroy. And so for these reasons, I respectfully ask for your consideration to appointment of the board. And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sergio. And Rob is not here, correct? Oh, yeah, he is here.
I'm here. Would you like me to go ahead?
Sure, go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Selection Committee. I would be honored to get this appointment. Hopefully you all read my letter. Just quickly, 3 of the points from my letter, 2 of them on why I'm so passionate about this position. I grew up in the Bay Area in the 70s when there was a lot of particulates and really suffered from asthma. So I really appreciate the Air District's cleaning up of our air and creating a healthier environment. And that's something that's been a passion of mine, the environment. The second thing that I think is really important also at the Air District is fighting global warming. And I have been a passionate fighter of that since helping to form Cool Cities at the Sierra Club, and then being one of the founding directors for Silicon Valley Clean Energy Authority, where we have completely removed carbon gases from our electric grid, and then began implementing programs to electrify and further decarbonize our valley. And I see the Air District as the next step of that, bringing more programs and actually being able to support the CCAs in bringing money for the programs to help continue the electrification and decarbonization in our region. The third point would be, this is a time-consuming appointment that once a month, it'll wipe out all of or more of a Wednesday morning. And then there's many other subcommittees that you can be appointed to, of which I would like to get involved. In all of my appointments, when I was your LAFCO appointment, I was on several of the subcommittees and attended the conferences and even spoke at the conferences. The same thing for the Silicon Valley Clean Energy Authority. I've been on the Risk Oversight Committee, the Finance Committee, and Legislative Committee, and so forth. And my time is up, so I will stop there. And I respectively request your appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. And Suds Jane?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Klein and Selection Committee. My name is Suds Jane, and I was just elected to the City Council in Santa Clara. I was born in India, but my family came to Davis, California when I was 2 years old. I lived in Davis until I graduated high school and left to attend MIT. Every 5 years, we go to visit relatives in Delhi, and I'm simply appalled at the poor air quality there. It's the worst in the world. A few years ago, we went to the zoo and we could barely see the animals across the moat. I worked in tech for 25 years and retired in 2008 after seeing Al Gore's movie, Inconvenient Truth. I felt I had to dedicate my life to working on the issue of climate change for our kids. I first joined Citizens Climate Lobby after retiring to advocate for a national carbon tax, which we still don't have after 12 years of lobbying. So I turned to more local action. I've been on the Actera board for the past 8 years, including 2 years as board chair, when we hired our executive director, Lauren Weston. I'm pleased that Actera has a fabulous working relationship with BACMUD, first in the Business Environmental Awards and now with the Climate and Food Collaboration. When I first read Santa Clara's Climate Action Plan in 2013, I felt it was woefully inadequate, and I submitted 5 pages of suggestions, which were simply noted and filed. That got me to apply to be on the Planning Commission, where I have now served for 5 years, including 1 year as chair. On Planning Commission, I have consistently asked for more affordable housing, traffic mitigation, mixed-use development, beneficial electrification, and LEED certifications. As a community advocate, I attended every city council goal-setting meeting for 5 years, asking the city to hire a full-time sustainability manager. We finally hired one this past February. Rod Sinks explained to me the heavy workload and responsibilities serving on this board and subcommittees. Since I'm retired, I feel I have the time and motivation to serve wholeheartedly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Rich has not joined, correct, Andy?
Chair Larry, he asked me to speak on his behalf, if you could.
Go right ahead.
Great, thank you. And we were both in the VTA PAC meeting, and so I think he's still stuck over there leading the discussion on Measure B funds. So he asked me to just say a few words, and I wanted to speak on Rich's behalf. As you know, I currently serve on the Air District, and I think Rich would be a great addition to our board. We have 24 members, and we are continuously looking for diversity, especially as mentioned by Sergio with AB 617. There has been a focus on care communities, low income and diverse communities, and looking at the health implications of air quality, GHG emissions. And when you look at the Santa Clara County map of where air quality, where those communities are, they are in, as mentioned, in South San Jose, as well as South County. And so I think having Rich on the board would be great to have that representation. He's also been involved with this regional task force on, we called it the Commute Free Work Task Force, encouraging telecommuting amongst our various agencies as well as companies. And that has been led by Cindy Chavez and the Air District. And so he is well versed in those issues already. And so I would welcome his continued leadership on this board for our county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up will be members of the public wishing to speak on this item. And I see Rod Sinks has his hand up. Rod, you've been unmuted. Rod? We can't hear you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak from the public on this item?
Wait,
While we're working on
try
it?
Rod again.
Rod?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I finally saw the unmute come up, so thank you. I don't know what was going on there, but as you know, I've served, if you read my letter, I've served for the last 6 years, and I'm serving this year as chair, and would appreciate your consideration in continuing my service through January. And the specific reason, besides being chair, is that we have some important business to conduct, including a confidential personnel matter that I expect will go into January. We have a retreat in January, and I would welcome your new appointees all joining us for that. There are no real decisions to be made, but there could be some closed session items surrounding our personnel action. I know I've worked with and or know all 4 of these candidates. It's a fantastic field, and I'm confident that whomever you pick, whichever 2 of these you pick, will be fantastic and represent the county well. And I pledge to help them ramp up because it is a very technical board with high time demands. So I'd love to help those of you who are appointed. So my request is to make at least one of those appointments effective, or one of those appointments effective February 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none. Does any of the committee wish to speak in favor of any of the applicants, or further discussion or a motion? Please raise your virtual hand. Yes, Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes, I'd like to speak on behalf of my colleague Sergio Jimenez. I'm going to say some nice things about him, so I wish he would cover his ears so he doesn't come. I think Sergio would be outstanding to serve in this role. From the time I served with him on the San Jose Council, I've observed his passion for the environment, his passion for environmental justice, his determination to complete some of his vision and objectives, particularly around Coyote Valley. And I think he would make an outstanding board member. He's smart, he's hardworking, and he's committed to bettering our community. So I highly recommend Sergio Jimenez. Hopefully you didn't hear any of that, but that's my recommendation.
Thank you, Chappie. Next up is Mayor Pepper.
Thank you. I would like to speak on behalf of two of the candidates here. I served on the BACMID board from 2013 to 2017, which was a total pleasure. It's a great board to be working on, and the key issues are climate change and other technical issues. And so I'd like to support Rob Rennie and Suds Jane for this appointment. Rob's experience on the SVCE board, I feel, would be a big advantage as he understands community choice energy, and all of our cities here in Santa Clara County are community choice energy cities, as well as the city of San Jose, including the efforts to move to greater transportation, electrified transportation and buildings. And a lot of the programs that the Air District puts together are related to electric transportation. And so he will be able to advocate for programs that will be able to directly fund projects here. Additionally, he has a science and engineering background, and I think that's important as there are a lot of technical issues on this board, and a lot of the board members on the Air District are not technical. Similarly with Suds, he is also an engineer, and I've known him since the days when I worked at Silicon Valley Power. He's been working tirelessly on climate change, knows the issues backwards and forwards, and I think he would be a great asset for our county on this board. So I would wholeheartedly support Rob Rennie and Suds Jane for this board, and they can fight it out as to who would wait until February to take over Rod's position. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Councilmember Sayak.
A quick question, and then I would like to speak on.
You're muted, Rico.
I'm sorry. Just a quick question to Councilmember Sinks. When does your term end officially? And
Sure. We, in my city, we rotate a month after the election. So that would be December 3rd. State law has a provision that allows me to continue service for up to 90 days at the pleasure of the appointing body. So, or, you know, just depending on the timing of things, right? So this is allowed for by state law, and we have checked with legal counsel for the Air District that has made this determination.
okay, thank you.
Does that help? Yeah.
It does. Thank you. And I would like to echo my support for Councilmember Rennie, who I serve with on the Los Gatos Town Council. I know that for many of these regional bodies, a significant amount of time and effort goes into it. And having served with him on council and seeing the work that he does on other regional bodies, I'm confident that he'll be putting the time in on behalf of Cities Association.
Okay. Thank you. Next up is Councilmember Matanya. Carmen?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. So I would also like to speak on behalf of Rob Rennie. Rob Rennie serves with me on the Silicon Valley Clean Energy Board. He's intelligent. He knows what he's talking about. And I think that comes from his background in engineering or as a scientist. And I feel that we really need a representative that knows the ins and outs, all the details of the matter at hand. So I'm in support of Rob Rennie.
Okay. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? So I will now entertain motions, and I realize that and actually, how many people, Auden, how many cities do we have here? Because we need every applicant needs a majority.
Hey, I'm sorry, Chair. Rich Constantine is actually here. If he has his hand raised.
Sure. Rich, go right ahead. Thank you.
I apologize. I'm coming in at it seems like the 11th hour. For those who don't know, I'm the PAC. I'm the chair of the PAC for VTA, and our meeting went a little bit long. We just adjourned, so I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to let everyone know that I am here, and I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say anything. I'll leave that up to you, Chair.
You are a voting member, so yes, you can go ahead and comment.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get to hear any of the speeches, so I just want to reiterate my want to be on the PAC. Sorry, the PAC Med committee. Still thinking about VTA stuff, but again, my apologies for coming in late. It was not my intention, but we, if you don't already know, we were discussing Measure B, and as you can imagine how lengthy that discussion was. I'm sure you all know, so that's why I was late. I apologize, but again, I would really appreciate your vote to be on the PAC Med board. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Deb Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a quick question. Are 2 seats available, and did you want that in one motion?
So this is the problem with 5 and doing this remotely. And if we were all in the same room, we'd be filling out ballots and then totaling. So because I don't think we have, so the fastest way to do this, because in case we don't get a possible majority, and we'll see how this goes. Andy and Auden came up with, if everybody listed out 2 names, and actually how many cities do we have currently?
15.
We have all 15?
Yes.
In attendance? Okay.
I believe Gilroy's missing.
No, Gilroy is here now.
Oh, okay.
Kat Tucker is here.
Okay.
Okay.
So we actually have a full quorum. Okay, more than a quorum now. And so if we did this multiple times, and normally it would be the first person. If it was ballots total, and then see how many people got above, who got the most votes from a ballot standpoint, every city getting 2 votes. It's a little bit difficult to do that in a virtual system, although Andy and Auden came up with a possible solution that if every city gave 2 names, we could get through this relatively quickly and then total and go forward. So I think, that will work as opposed to 2 motions. I think we have multiple candidates here and we can at least whittle it down relatively quickly.
So Larry, you're saying each city, Palo Alto votes for 2 people, Mountain View votes for 2, so forth?
Correct.
Great.
And
Good
I think
way to do it.
Auden, you're ready to deal with it that way?
And can I interrupt you one more time?
Sure.
I just got a text from Mary Lynn. Her mute is making her crazy and she cannot get her hand raised. So
Okay.
can someone do a test run on Mary Lynn, please?
She's not muted now.
Thank you. I have lost the lower half of my screen that indicates where I could raise my hand or mute or unmute on my own power. So
Go right ahead.
are you, if you keep me on, I'll let you go ahead and count the votes as you would like to. So I'm not out of order, Auden. Out of order, Auden.
Okay, so just stay unmuted for now and we'll.
Well, Andy may have to do that for me.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Mayor Klein, are you looking for the votes to be totaled together or as two separate votes?
I'm looking at it as, so it's who has the top two, who are the top two vote getters above 7 or 7 and above.
Okay, so I have it set up like so, and I can put in folks and it'll total it at the bottom. How
Perfect.
does that look?
Okay.
And
So you want one at a time on, or you want people to be able to give you two? It looks like just one at a time.
Oh, two.
Two, you got two there?
Two at a time.
Okay.
Would one be okay?
It would be
No,
preferable.
two at a time.
It'd be preferable if we could do two,
Yeah.
so that,
Actually, we
Okay.
have to do 2. We either take a motion or we do 2, whatever
You can just use 2 columns there, right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It won't be the neatest, but we can do that.
Okay, do you need anything from me, Auden? I'm a good spectator.
Thank you, Auden. This would be this is one of the times where it's much easier in person.
Right.
So Auden, go ahead and conduct a voice vote.
All right.
Every city should be giving 2 names for who they're proposing.
Councilmember Davis.
Okay, I'm unmuted. My first choice is Rob Rennie. My second choice is Rich Constantine.
Okay, Mayor Pepper.
I'll vote for Rob Rennie and Suds Jane.
Mayor Constantine.
I will vote for myself and Sergio Jimenez.
Mayor Pro Tem Tucker.
Yes, I will vote for Rich Constantine and Rob Rennie.
Councilmember Montano.
Thank you. Rob Rennie and Rich Constantine.
Councilmember Sayak.
Rob Rennie and Rich Constantine.
Mayor Klein.
Rob Rennie and Rich Constantine.
Mayor Wu. Mayor Wu. Vice Mayor Gibbons.
Constantine and Rennie, please.
Councilmember Niss.
Constantine and Rennie.
Vice Mayor Bernald.
Constantine and Rennie.
Emma.
Councilmember Turner.
Rennie and Constantine.
Mayor Scharf.
Rennie and Jane.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Constantine and Jimenez.
Mayor Abacoga,
Constantine and Jimenez.
okay. And Mayor Constantine has the majority of the vote for the first one, and then for the second one as well, but the second most is Rennie for the
It's-
second best.
So
Sure.
I think you need to total all them
Yeah,
together.
you
Right,
do.
right. It's not first, it's
Not first and second.
it's not
Yeah,
first
yeah.
and second choice.
Right.
Sorry, on
Okay.
no pressure.
Okay, so then that is Mayor Constantine and Rennie.
Okay. Thank you very much. And congratulations to both of you. And I do agree with what, Rod said and several of us said that, we have 4 very good candidates here, and
Very, very good. Thank you. Well done.
thank you very much.
Larry, this is
Okay.
Rob.
What about which one starts when?
Aha.
So Larry, this is Rob. I'm plenty happy to let Rich choose whether he'd like to start earlier or later.
Okay. Rich?
Very gracious.
I'm sorry, my daughter walked in just at the time and I couldn't hear what was said because she was yelling. I'm sorry, what it was?
You want to start the earlier or
Sure.
later? In terms
Sure, I'll
of-
start the early one.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, we are now past the time that the meeting should have ended. So I know that we have multiple things, including MTC, which we want to get to. I want to ask people first, is there interest in having a special selection committee meeting in December? And I know we're getting into the holidays and everything else. Just wondering what people's interests are.
Let's get it done tonight. Let's move on.
Okay.
Agree.
And Andy,
Agreed.
MTC had a time issue there. Is that true?
I'm sorry, what are you asking? What time issue?
They wanted to get this appointment. They had meetings coming up, correct?
Well, we just received a letter from them just kind of confirming that Councilmember Bruins is terming out, and that the choices are to either reappoint her, because her term then would be complete if you wanted to reappoint her at the beginning of December, or allow her to continue until her MTC terms runs out for 2 years.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we'll move on to 3C. And thanks for everyone I knew this was going to take a while. First, any nominations from the floor? I'm pulling up my participants. Deb Davis?
Thank you, Mayor. I just needed some clarification on Jeannie Bruins about this MTC thing. I was listening, but then I kind of lost track. Is she qualified, or she's allowed to be on MTC even though she's termed out?
So from an MTC standpoint, she would be allowed. From our policy standpoint, we said that only council members currently seated would be appointed from a selection committee standpoint. Does that make sense?
Okay. So, okay. All right. Thank you.
I see several people.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Several people. Rob, Rennie?
You called my name. I'm sorry, Larry. What was the question?
I'll lower your hand if you have nothing to say. Never mind.
That was my hand was raised for what I spoke about before.
Good enough. And Jeannie, you should go ahead and promote Jeannie. and we'll go through the two applicants in just a second.
I've also put the letter from MTC up on the screen so that it's part of the packet.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let me go back to where we were before. So now the candidates have 2 minutes to speak. Jeannie or Margaret, whichever one of you want to speak first.
I guess I'll go ahead. Good evening again, everyone. I'm Margaret Albikoga, Mayor of Mountain View, and thank you so much for considering me for the MTC appointment. I've had the pleasure of working with all of you on the Cities Association on the executive board for now many years, and so I've really appreciated and enjoyed my work on a regional level, and I am excited to have this opportunity to go back to one of my favorite issues and priorities in transportation. I've served on the VTA actually a total of 10 years now. I went back and counted either on the PAC or on the board. I chaired the board back in 2012, I believe it was, or during the Great Recession times, and brought the VTA back from a deficit to solvency. And unfortunately, that's not the case these days. So I really spent quite a bit of time in the area of transportation. And as of late, I've worked on housing issues as well, led the LAC last year, served with Larry on the ABAG MTC Housing Legislation Committee. So as the MTC and ABAG are looking at how to merge, I think I can be helpful and be a good advocate for our county. I also, through my work at the Air District, have had the opportunity to work with several of the members who also serve on MTC. So I would be able to start the position with some relationships already made. And I think that will be very helpful as well. As you know, I very much appreciate all of our cities and the diversities of our cities. And I would work hard to advocate for all of our concerns and needs, as I believe I have done in the last several years with the Cities Association. So I would ask for your support, and thank you very much again.
Thank you. And
Do you want me to go next?
Jeannie, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so hi, this is Liz Gibbons. Thank you all. I think you know that I've been very passionate about ABAG and the representation of Santa Clara County cities. We really have not had a strong path of succession from ABAG to MTC. And Jason Baker was the last one that really made that full transition. And Jeannie filled in part of his position in another term. So what I'm trying to strongly encourage the city associations to do is, going forward, look at a strategic plan for how we would like all of these positions to come together and leverage different people in different roles. I feel very strongly that ABAG is melting away, and we need to be aware that MTC is going to be the center of decision-making going forward. We've got a year of transition where we've got the plan 2050 coming forward, and then of course the RENA numbers, and then all our cities are going to have to do their housing element updates. So for 5 years, I've been at ABAG. I am well-known and well-regarded in terms of speaking on behalf of our community and the big issues. And I think I know all the members most of the members on the MTC board as well. And I may take note that 4 major positions on the MTC board are not returning. And that's a very good thing for us to have representatives on the MTC board in positions of significance on various committees as well as the board. And I would commit to doing that. And I would also offer that as this year pans out, we may find that we want to revisit how the Cities Association wants it strategically handled. And I'm totally open to that dialogue as well. So I look forward to serving you on the MTC board. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Okay, let me get my next window. Are there any members of the public?
Were you going to give me a chance to speak? Or
Okay, go ahead, Jeannie.
so I'd like to speak as the current member of MTC, and I think there's a lot of confusion by the members of this body. When I applied 2 years ago, I applied for a 4-year term. MTC terms are 4 years, they're not 2 years. MTC raised our awareness that this was they were asking for us to appoint someone who would be eligible for the 4 years. We are served better by having people by having that seat with continuity. And so I am not termed out of MTC. It is not like BACMed. MTC is enabled, there's enabling legislation that allows the non-elected civilians to actually be appointed and serve on that board. So I am eligible to stay in the seat. The only thing apparently is a policy. And before I even applied for this 4-year term, I had asked poor Andy 3 years to try and find whether or not selection committee had a policy. And it wasn't until at 5 p.m. before the night that the board was even talking about this, that document, reappeared. So I am asking for at minimum, so actually my ask is that I continue and fulfill this term. And I think we're better served by filling out this term so we don't end up with yet another truncated term once again, as we start revolving our own door. And if that's not the pleasure of this body to allow me to do that, I think I've been serving with honor. I would ask at minimum to allow me to sit on this again until the February turnover, which is when we seat new board members at MTC. It's done on their calendar and it is in the February timeframe. So at minimum, allow me to stay there until February. And if you're willing to consider, I will make my case for why I think I should be there. And that is, there are a lot of things such as what Liz Gibbons just mentioned. We've got some people with a lot of knowledge and such that are terming out, and it is right that it's a great time in terms of more changing in some of the leadership, but more importantly, instead of just the generic people, Santa Clara County, by way of the mayor's seat, the Board of Supervisors seat, and the Cities Association seat has 3 representatives on there. And this is not the time to swap out 2 of the 3. Dave Cortese comes out as he moves on to higher office and such. I do not believe that he will continue in that seat. And so I think we're better served as a county by having at least bringing 1 new person on, being the county seat, at least for a year, if not the full 2 years of the remainder of my term. There's also some very critical things that we have done that are really important to us here in the South and the South end of the 9 Bay Area counties. Additionally, if I continue on this, I will still remain committed to my role on the VTA board as the ex officio member. And I think that has paid off major dividends in that relationship as this body, the Cities Association as a body, continues to be concerned about the power that San Jose has. Sorry, Chappie, I know you're the token San Jose person here, but we have that ability to continue. And with a lot of the changes that are happening with Measure B, we are better served in the North County and West Valley cities if we can have that continuity as well, because I have the relationships and more importantly, the influences already there. Okay. So I would ask that if I could at least stay on for the remainder of my term that I was appointed to, and at minimum stay on until the February, make the rotation happen in February. And reminder that you're only going to do a 2-year term, and then you're going to be back at this again for another. You're either going to you're going to be based on your candidates. You will be breaking it up again, and you will not have the full continuity.
Right. Thank you, Jeannie. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to speak on this item? So we will go back to the committee. First up is Liz Nis.
So this type of situation is one that's going to happen frequently to anyone who's in elected office, because there are cities that have term limits. I come from a city that has term limits. Many of you do. So I'm going to speak on behalf of Mayor Abe Koga from Mountain View, who is just the top vote getter, by the way, in Mountain View, for all of you who are junkies like me and want to know who finished where. Margaret has done transportation long-term for a long time, and she does it and does it well. She was, I think, chair of VTA when I was running for city council in 2012, as I recall, Margaret. Margaret is a terrific leader and has 4 years in front of her now. She just got reelected. She's got 4 years. I think that she would do a particularly good job. I'd like to strongly recommend Margaret.
Thank you. Next up is Councilmember Sayak.
A quick question, just so I'm quite clear before we move in. And as with all these other positions, I mean, the pool of candidates that we have before us are wonderful, but is it a 4-year term? Is it a 2-year term? I'm hearing different things. And so I'd like to know, should whoever get appointed today, is it for 4? Is it for 2? Is it completing a term? If someone could just,
it's the last 2 years.
Yeah.
That. Andy, go ahead.
If the committee chooses to reappoint someone, it would to finish this 4-year term, which is there's 2 more years left. And then the next term would be 4 years.
Correct. So it is a 4-year term. So basically it's re-upped right now, 2018, 2022, all of that. And it all depends on much like if council members leave or whatever. And it's kind of, that's done for all these positions. If somebody leaves, then we have to reappoint. But in this case, it's based upon our policy is why we're looking at MPC specifically.
Okay, and my second question, and it should be fairly short. When does ABAG officially get taken in by MTC? When does that merger of governance officially take place?
It's, if I may,
yes.
It's a process, a multi-year process. The staff has been combined. There is now a process where committees are being combined. The legislative committee and the planning committee and various administrative committees are now being combined. They have not worked out the details of actually merging the organizations. And the concern is that the 101 cities have a viable voice in the future, and that's not resolved. So an ongoing process, and it is a challenging process.
I would like to chime in as the MTC representative. MTC does not have any desire to go into one governing body. What MTC and ABAG collectively did is look at where they've already be acting as a combined body. And so we've always had the legislation committee of ABAG and the legislation committee of MTC. They meet at the exact same time. There's 2 separate minutes and all, but the whole discussion, they've been operating for all intents and purpose as a collective group. And they are going to, so now they just formally did that and ensured that it was now a single body, fully Brown acted in terms of majorities and equal numbers and all of this other stuff. So, so there is no intent on MTC. The MTC board spoke, the commissioners spoke very clearly about not wanting to do that because they do not see that it is in anybody's benefit to combine the overall governance structure.
Okay,
I just wanted to let everyone know that Councilmember Syak asked about the terms, and so I've pulled up the terms right here, which is also in your packet. It's on page 33 of 87 pages in the meeting packet, which describes the term of office.
Okay. Next up is Mayor Constantine.
Thank you very much. I have to unmute myself. It's my understanding, I have a question and then a comment. It's my understanding that because Jeannie is termed out of her seat and because it's part of our bylaws that you have to be elected, that's why she's not continuing on MTC. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So I would be remiss if I didn't speak on behalf of Margaret Abakoga, since she spoke on behalf of me. And I wasn't around and you guys picked me for BACmed, so it was because of what she said. So I'm not sure if I can do the same magic, but I believe I heard when I came in that someone made a comment that we've got great candidates, and that's the same here as well. Both people are hard workers and would do a fantastic job. But I am in support of Margaret because of the fact that I just know that she has a way that helps get the point across without you knowing you're being pushed. if that's a nice way of saying that she's just a great person to work with, and I think she would continue that on MTC. But again, not taking anything away from Liz. It's hard to speak on one person versus the other, especially when they're watching you on TV or on a computer. But again, I'm just going to support Margaret in this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Vice Mayor Bernold.
Thank you. I think I've got my computer under control now. I apologize for the past disruption. I am the one that was on ABAG prior to Liz coming on. I had to come off due to some health issues. But at the time that I was on, it was the beginning of the ABAG MTC merger, of however you want to call it. And I realized how very important it is to have a member who has been on this entire time from, I believe, 2016 through all of this, that has the idea of how this has progressed and has been an excellent representative on ABAG. So I believe it's essential that we, as the Cities Association, keep this in mind because of such things as the Contra Costa County letter that we got from the mayor, that the Cities Association is best represented by an individual who knows how all of this is running ABAG-wise and also has the ability to understand how MTC is working to take over eventually ABAG. So for that reason, I am highly supporting Liz. Again, Margaret is a great person, a wonderful individual in all the capacities that she's been in. But I think we need the continuity that has been created since Margaret was involved with VTA and the MTC things. So it's essential that we speak in terms of these times. And for that reason, I'm supporting Liz. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak on this item? Vice Mayor Jones.
So I won't repeat all the wonderful things that were said about Margaret and Liz. I have the utmost respect for both of them. And actually my preference would be to abstain from these votes because they're very, very painful. But we have to make a decision. So I was trying to work through like two people that I have a lot of respect for and I want to support. And one of the variables that it came down to was the fact that Margaret would be able to serve the whole term of 4 years based on the fact that she was just recently elected. And so that was a big factor for me in terms of continuity in that position. So that was the deciding variable, a deciding factor to me, for me to lean towards Margaret. But again, I have the utmost respect for both of you and I work with both of you and these votes are painful, but that's That's my position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Deb Davis.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I know this is my last meeting, but I have to give kudos for, I love you, Margaret, but I'm going for Liz on this one because when I worked with her, that woman pushed out so much information to me about what was going on. And I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that any committee I work with her on, that she researches everything out to the last letter. And you are both strong people, but my kudos are for Liz for helping me get through a lot of different things. And the fact that she really puts every ounce of effort into anything. It was to the point where I wanted to kill her over emails that kept coming and streaming with information. And she forced me to read them. But I just think that she is a strong advocate for us in the South Bay. I really believe she can do the job. And you guys are right. This is, Chappie, you're right. This is probably the hardest decision we all have to make. But my heart has to go with her. My last vote, Liz, on Cities Association. But I think you're a strong person. And I know that you also like to fight and get things done, but you also do it in a nice, kind way. So I am going to support my friend Liz Gibbons.
Thank you. Next up is Mayor Wu. Michelle?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I have two questions. I'm not quite clear. Forgive me if I didn't. I hear very well earlier. So Liz's term is termed out when? May I ask how in 2 years or 2 months?
This is a 2-year term.
2-year term. Okay. Do we also have a position for the alternate?
There is not an
There's no alternate.
for
Okay.
this.
I do see that Liz has worked in a very dedicated and diligent way, and her emails come out is very well communicated. She put a lot of work, and she's also willing to continue to the next 2 years. I give my hands to Margaret. She's also very, very qualified, wonderful. But I just felt like Liz is already on. She wants to serve, and I would say that I would let Liz to continue to serve until her term is end, and perhaps we can have Margaret to continue with her seat. That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Councilmember Nis.
Just a question, because let me make sure I'm speaking. Because, some of us are termed out, some of us aren't. I am termed out now. I cannot run again unless I sit on the sidelines for a while. But of the two women, Margaret and Liz, which one of you has the longest to serve at this point? I don't know for sure.
I have 4 years left.
And I have 2.
And it's a 2-year term.
And it's a 2-year term. That was one of the reasons I considered running, was because it was a 2-year term. And I thought that would set up the next 4-year cycle on a better basis going forward, rather than keep splitting it.
Okay. However, I guess the obvious, and Liz, you and I have fun. I enjoyed talking with you, but I guess the obvious is also that Margaret could continue to serve on a continuous basis for 4 years. So, yeah, simply to state the obvious.
6.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Bernald.
Thank you. I failed to finish my thought. So one was something that Liz Nis just brought up, that we are confirming that we are filling the position for Jeannie's, which is 2 years. If Margaret were to serve, she would end up, if you voted for her, for serving for 6 years, because this 2-term and then perhaps another selection committee would promote her for 4 more years. I saw you shake your head, Larry, so that's why I stopped here. Because to confirm, we are filling the position that is going to become empty with Jeannie Bruins leaving the council. Is that correct?
That is correct. So we're only looking at 2 years right now.
We're only looking at 2 years right now. And thank you for that. The next part of that is that we haven't quite addressed what Jeannie was bringing up. And that was where in this procedure this evening, we might vote to consider Jeannie's request to stay on until February.
So that could be a subsequent motion to the vote. So
Thank you for that.
we entertain vote, you know, we entertain vote motions as we're moving out of that item.
Thank you for the process clarity.
Sure. No further comments. And I'll just say that I appreciate both of these applicants. I've worked with both for a while now. I will be supporting Margaret. We worked on the MTC ABAG legislative committee up at, and I think, you know, definitely from that standpoint, either of you would be good. And I agree with Chappie. I just like to abstain, but that will not be the case. So with that, Auden, are you ready for people to list off the names that they would prefer?
Yes.
Okay. So just list off your choice from a city standpoint, and Auden will be reading out the names. Or reading out the city names, I should be saying.
Okay. Mayor, oh, I'm sorry. I think I may have this wrong. Sorry, no, that was correct.
This is tricky.
I know. Okay.
I'm glad you're doing it, not us.
Okay, so we are doing
MTC.
a vote, not a motion either way.
Correct.
I set up both just in case.
Thank you.
Okay. So Mayor Pepper.
Can you please come back to me?
Sure. Councilmember Turner.
Margaret.
Councilmember Davis.
Gibbons.
Mayor Abakoga.
Koga.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Abakoga.
Councilmember Niss.
Margaret, please.
Mayor Constantine.
Abakoga.
Mayor Klein.
Abakoga.
Councilmember Styak.
I wish I could abstain. I really do. That's similar to Chappie. I love both of them, but I think I'm going to go for a 4-year term, and so I'm going to vote Abakoga.
Not a 4-year term.
Not a 4-year term, just to be clear.
Or 2
2-year
years.
term.
Yes.
Not.
Vice Mayor Bernald.
Gibbons.
Mayor Scharf.
Gibbons.
Mayor Wu.
Gibbons.
Councilmember Montano.
This is a real hard decision to make. They're both highly qualified, but I have to look at the institutionalized knowledge. I have to think about my constituents, the county. So respectfully, I will go with Liz Gibbons.
Mayor Pro Tem Tucker.
Abakoga.
And Vice Mayor Gibbons.
Gibbons.
Okay, and then going back to Mayor Pepper.
I'm trying to see the count there.
Jan?
I don't think my vote makes a difference, right? You need 8.
We need,
I will abstain.
okay. That's fine. So Auden,
And Mayor Abakoga has 8 votes and Vice Mayor Gibbons has 6.
thank you. And congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you, Liz, for applying.
Thank you, Liz. And I will entertain a motion.
I will move that Margaret Abakoga begins her service on MTC in early January.
Hang on. So there's, Mary Lynn actually had a hand raised. Mary Lynn?
Thank you. I'm making a motion that we consider Jeannie Bruin's action to let her serve until February.
And
I
is
second
there-
that.
Who seconded that? I'm sorry.
Montano, I second that.
Thank you. And Mary Lynn, do you want to talk to your motion?
I think that Jeannie has served us very well in all her years serving on MTC. And I think she really does understand what's going on. And I think through these next few months that they are doing as much as they are doing, as heavy duty as they are, that it is a good idea to keep her in there until then. I think it'll make for a smoother transition for Margaret. And congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you.
So Chair, point of clarification. So it's the motion to appoint Margaret and extend Jeannie's term in the same motion?
I didn't think I had to make the motion to appoint Margaret, did I? Since we already voted. So no, it's the motion is to extend Jeannie's term to February or through February, whichever it was she specifically asked.
Okay.
But that's why I suggested that Margaret start in January.
I'm fine to start in February. Thank you.
And this is the problem with these organizations, much like ROD, nobody made a motion at that point, although, there is a transitionary point for these organizations. And so I'm assuming that we almost have kind of 2 representatives during a short period of time from our organizational standpoint. And I'm sure Jeannie will keep Margaret up to date. But with that, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments on this? Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes, I just wanted to say, first of all, I think that Jeannie would be, it'd be a great idea for Jeannie to be able to extend her term and be able to serve into early next year. But we have our bylaws that clearly state that you have to be an elected official at the time that you serve on these boards and commissions. And my concern is not so much just Jeannie, but setting a precedent for other individuals who want to extend their time. If we're going to do this, I think that we should review our bylaws, make changes to our bylaws, but I don't believe that we should make that exception here and today. I think this is something that we should evaluate, analyze, and then come up with a determination in the future whether we want to make that change and make those exceptions. So even though I support Jeannie, I am not supportive of making that exception to the bylaws.
Thank you. And Councilmember Niss.
Let me underline what Chappie just said. All of us like to stay beyond our welcome, no matter what. That we're politicians. And I think what Chappie has said is true. Our bylaws say something in particular that Chappie has just said very well. And I think it's also confusing to the next group when somebody is there, but you really got two people who are there in the same position. So as I had said before, I think it would be, it would make for a comfortable transition if Margaret were to start at the regular term, which I presume for MTC is January. Am I correct? Maybe I'm not sure exactly when they turn over.
February.
So that's the weirdness of this. It sounds like the February meeting is where the transition actually takes place, but the appointment starts in January, which makes no sense in my mind. But
is that actually true? They don't change over till February?
Liz, I think that's, or someone can
know.
My understanding, I'm sorry, and my understanding is the changeover takes place at the February 27th MTC meeting.
And before that, so that's almost 2 months into the new year?
Yes. Yes.
I believe the same is true at BACMed. I think that's why their February meeting is the same kind of thing. Which is what he's mentioning.
I don't think so, Liz. I think it's in January.
And it's the end of January, if I remember talking to Rod. Yes. So this is the other weirdness about the appointment. So from my standpoint, and I'll speak ahead of Rich. I'm actually fine with allowing Jeannie to break our policy. I do think we need to reevaluate our policies as we talked about earlier, as we were looking at the organizational status going forward. There are, like as Rod said earlier, there are some kind of ceremonial transitions, and as people are going out of the commission or committee, and then new people are coming in. So I think that transition can be handled by that body. So I will actually be supporting this motion, even though it is against our policy and we do need to reevaluate that policy. Mayor Constantine.
Thank you, Mayor Klein. I just wanted, because I was late, I didn't get the full explanation or understanding. Mr. Sinks had written a letter that was in our packet asking that he stay on till he could hand the gavel over. I was wondering what was the decision that was made on that?
No motion was made at the time.
Okay.
And I have received a text from Rod in the meantime, and he is actually communicating with one of the appointees. So,
well, I'll speak to what you had just mentioned, and I think it would be appropriate to go ahead and disregard our bylaws. And only for this reason is because of the fact that our time frame doesn't always coincide with different groups' time frames. We usually change over in the elections November, we change over by December or January at the latest, and that doesn't always happen with all these committees. So I agree with you that we have to relook at how we actually set these appointments up, and I believe that we'll probably in the interim, or when we do change them, that we'll change it so that we'll be able to allow people who will be termed out but only have a month or two to stay, will be allowed to stay and finish their term with that group. So I will be long-winded, I'm sorry, but I will be voting to allow this to continue.
Thank you. And I think that's the last comment. So
I have one comment, if you wouldn't mind.
Go right
Yeah,
ahead.
just for clarification, at the beginning of this year, that January meeting for the Air District was January 29th. We haven't set the meeting yet for this coming January, but yeah, it's typically in the third or fourth week of January. And I think, yeah, that really is, that's our turnover. So I would appreciate your consideration on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. On the motion of allowing Jeannie to continue to the February meeting, and at that point, that transition is moving to Margaret. Auden, can we please have a voice vote of the cities. And this is yes to allow Jeannie to continue to February.
Auden? Oh, there.
Okay, Mayor Klein,
Yes.
Councilmember Niss,
Yes.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Councilmember Montano,
Yes.
Mayor Wu, Mayor
Yes.
Wu,
Yes.
Mayor Constantine,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tucker,
Yes.
Mayor Pepper,
Yes.
Mayor Scharf,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bernald,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gibbons,
Yes.
Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Councilmember Sayak,
Yes.
and Mayor Abakoga.
Aye.
So that passes. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jeannie, for your service to this organization. I really appreciate it. Next up, Mayor Constantine.
Sorry, my hand just keeps going up. I apologize for interrupting again. But since you mentioned that decision has not been made for Mr. Sinks, then perhaps we should make the same motion that he be allowed to continue until, I believe it was the February is when the handover will be for the chairmanship or chairpersonship, I should say.
Rod, I think that was end of January, correct?
Yeah, our turnover meeting, as I said, will be most likely in the 3rd or the 4th week of January. So extending, just making the new, according to our legal counsel, making the appointment effective February 1st would be in order. Thank you.
That's
This is
where
Mary Lynn
I heard
Bernald.
that.
I'll second.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Rich. Are there any other comments on this? I think, from my standpoint, what we did for Jeannie, and this is the issue, and this is why we really need to look at the appointment schedule as well as kind of transitionary meetings for each of these bodies going forward when we look at setting policies for the new organization to make sure that where our transition points are, where appointments are, conceivably this could have waited until beginning of January, conceivably. Anyway, with that being said, Mary Lynn, did you have anything else to say or no? Auden, can you please conduct another voice vote? Yes, to allow Councilmember Sinks to continue to the end of January on BACMed.
Okay. Councilmember Davis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Aye.
Councilmember Niss,
Yes.
Mayor Constantine,
Rich, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Aye.
Councilmember Sayak,
Yes.
Mayor Scharf,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Tucker,
Yes.
Mayor Abakoga,
Aye.
Councilmember Montano,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bernald,
Aye.
Councilmember Turner,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gibbons,
Yes.
Mayor Wu,
Yes.
Mayor Pepper,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So with that, we made it through 3A, 3B, and 3C. at this point, and Andy, I think none of these other positions are critical from a time standpoint, correct?
No, and we didn't receive any letters of interest from any of the other positions, so.
And I don't want to try to take this from the floor right now. I think from the concept that we are now 52 minutes late, we'll give the public a final chance for public comment. If anyone has any final comments, raise your hand. And we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:55, not 6:55. Sorry, 7:53.
And is the pizza coming?